why is the running back market the way it is from your perspective?
So I actually think the answer is fairly simple, even though I'm making it really complicated.
Okay.
I mean, the positions correlate to how the league views the importance and the contribution to winning and the supply and demand ratios of the position. So quarterbacks make a ton of money because they have a huge impact on who wins, and there's a shortage of really good ones. Running backs have a more modest, still important role in who wins, and there's actually an abundance. You know, we all took Economics 101, and they told us about supply and demand. So if you can do what the Eagles and the Chiefs are doing, and many other teams, and they've won 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls, and you're winning Super Bowls with running backs that are late-round picks or mid-round picks or making a modest amount of money, and you're trying to be smart about building your team and making sure the positions that actually decide the games have the best players, then we have what's happened in running backs. Now, what's happened to the guys this year, to me, takes that, I think, reasonably sound logic too far.
Okay.
Like if, you know, good running backs, very good running backs, top running backs literally 3 years ago making $12 million and the cap goes up $20 million a year. 3 years later, offering them $12 million, which the Giants did, is not even close to fair. Even if we accept the premise of supply and demand is out of whack, you don't have to have a superstar running back to win. Even if you say all that, I mean, we're really at the point where Barkley isn't worth what a top tight end is worth, a top safety, a top guard. So I'm actually really sympathetic to Barkley, and the market should be in that, 15-ish, 16, 14, you can pick the number. Shouldn't be at 11. But the reason that the group as a whole, they're out of whack on supply and demand, and they matter. They matter a lot. We won in Philadelphia. We always had good running backs. We always had running backs also that were really crucial to the pass game. They weren't just good runners like
right.
Westbrook, McCoy, those guys. So there's the illusion that teams don't think running backs matter. At least all the teams I know of and everything we practiced and the teams that are currently winning Super Bowls all know running backs are very important. But they also know because there's an abundance of talent, you're better off putting a little extra into some defensive tackle or corner or, the other positions that are crucial to the wins.
Because it strikes me, again, Joe, because I'm not in the negotiations, obviously, privy to what's being said between Barkley and the Giants, and that Joe Shane seems to, like, what's another $1.5 million, $2 million, right? Like, what even if it's over 3 years, just so you can send your crucial player back into the locker room feeling in a way that he's fine talking to the media, which he did not do today, right? So it just seems like, and again, I know when toe meets ball, this might be old news, unless it isn't. I don't know. You're the guy who's maybe had experience with this. Why hold the line like that? I don't kind of get that. I figured I'll ask you.
Yeah, listen, I'll be very candid. I made this mistake very early in my career. I got perceived as being even tougher than I am, and I'm willing to be tough in a negotiation. And it's not constructive. I learned the lesson the hard way fairly quickly that there is real value for what turns out to be relatively small amounts of money to keep your locker room feeling really good and pick some spots to where maybe you do pay a little bit more than you thought it was worth because, you want it to be that way. Listen, here's the reality. They're going to tag him again for sure now that he appeared so easily and so quickly. And, for better or worse, on one hand, I admire that he wants to play so badly and win so badly. On the other hand, you should fight for kind of what you deserve. But the fact of the matter is, because he went in so easily, he's definitely getting tagged again. He was probably getting tagged anyway, but now he's definitely getting tagged. So he's going to make about $23 million over 2 years. The fact of the matter is, it sounded like for 23, 24, he would have taken a long-term deal. Now the Giants lose him after 2 years for sure. So I actually think there's both a monetary reason and a team cohesiveness, team leader argument for what was a very small amount of money to probably get a 4 or 5 year contract. And if you don't want him after 2 years, you probably don't have any charge left. Just move on. But they gave up the right to control his rights for 4 to 5 years over probably about $1 million over 2 years. I don't think that makes any sense, and I don't think him asking for, let's say, if it was 14, was at all unreasonable. He's really just taking what half a dozen guys, not like one deal, and he's not stuck on McCaffrey. He took like about half a dozen deals that were done 2 and 3 years ago that were all around 12, 12, 12, 5. Kamara's looks like 15 on paper, but it's really also really like 12, 12.5. Now the cap's gone up since then. So even if you just adjusted for the increase in the cap, he's $13.5 to $15 million guy. I don't see why they got stuck. And I do understand why he said no, but then he kind of lost the benefit of that. Even if he wanted to listen, if I was his agent, I would have said, come in the Tuesday before the first game. You eliminate the risk of getting hurt in all of training camp. Mm-hmm. You at least worry them and create some cost for tagging you instead of getting a deal done. You come on in that Tuesday, you probably won't play the first week, so we've really reduced the risk of injury. You still get to play all season. You're there for teammates. And if the Giants were meant to have a good season, they'll still have it. And in the meantime, you've at least worried them that in the future they need to treat you right or there will be a cost. But by what he did, he made it very easy for them to just tag him next year. And frankly, he sent the message to the league that you can hold out, play hardball with these running backs, and even a deal as bad as $11 million. I mean, there are slot receivers getting $11 million. There are nickel corners. There are centers making way over $11 million, and that's where he's stuck now.
So before we move on to the quarterbacks, Joe Banner, what was that part in the beginning of your career where you said you learned the hard way that the few, couple $1 million is worth giving it to keep the peace? What was that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the names don't come to mind easily since they're almost 30 years ago now.
Right.
But we had some tough negotiations with some players early over a pretty small amount of money.
Right.
We lost Trotter. We were very far apart on that deal. Mm-hmm. He ended up coming back to us after not being happy there for a year. In the end, we lost Dawkins, which I think everybody involved in still feels, bad about. That was a little deeper, into my time.
Yes.
Running back, rookie deals weren't quite as slotted as they were. You could get into a fight about some of the language and offsets and stuff like that.
Right.
Some of which I did. And, in hindsight was, fighting for something that probably didn't matter. And even if it ended up mattering with a small enough number of dollars, it wasn't worth the fight.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.